MAGA, you do realize that the Republican Party, including Donald Trump, are using you. You see, as a Democrat, we've been used as well. For the past 60 years, the Democratic Party has used black people to push their liberal agenda. Now, that is me saying that I agree with you in principle, but I disagree with you when you vote against your own interests, and you see the results of your actions that you took this past November at the ballot box. You see that what is happening in Texas, it's not an anomaly. That is something that happened because of the failures of politicians that put money first. You see, children are dead. It doesn't matter the color of the children. Children are dead. And they are dead because of racism, hatred, and bigotry. They are dead because white folks voted against their own interests. They voted to gut programs that helps them out. Go figure. You see, both political parties, both, and this is coming from a Democrat, both of them has taken advantage of the poor and the indigent people. They are going to cause you to fight your brothers and sisters in the streets of this country, shed blood. The elites are. They are setting everything in motion, upsetting you, putting you in a place that you're going to have to make a decision here shortly to kill your brothers and your sisters, all while fighting against your best interests. You guys have a nice day.
Well, I did it again, damn it. Went down that damn rabbit hole, and it was fun. Because I strolled down this hole of farmers that are mad because they're about to lose their farm. Because their federal grant money hasn't shown up yet. And they don't know what to do. And all of them crying. But damn it, in every freaking video, all of them, and I mean all of them, except for maybe one or two, all of them voted for Trump. So why are you complaining is my question. You voted for this. You asked for this stupidity. You complaining that you're about to lose your farm because you voted for a man who told you what he was going to do. But that's your freaking fault. Because you voted for your whiteness instead of voting your heart. Because you didn't want to see that black lady in office. So you voted for that white man. And you knew he was a crook. You knew he was a thief. You knew he was going to do all the dumb shit. Because you've seen it before. But you mad because you're about to lose your farm. Some of them crying. This land been in my family forever. Yeah. Because it was given to you a long, long time ago. And I ain't crying. And I ain't mad. And I don't care. Because that's what you get for voting for your whiteness. You voted for your whiteness instead of voting for the proper person that you knew was good for that job. But you wanted that man in office that bad. You didn't want her in office. You can't say you voted for the lesser of two evils. You voted his color, not his character. And before we get off of this, y'all know what to do. Hit the heart, share the video, do what we do. This TikTok, damn it. You knew better, but you did it. See, this land that y'all got for free, that's been passed down through the generations, that we didn't get our 40 acres of the mule. So why are we gonna be mad because you about to lose yours? This is by design. All of those corporations are buying up farmland across the freaking country. This is on purpose. But you've yet to realize that. Kamala had you saved. The money was appropriated. It was there. But you had to vote for Trump. You knew what he was. You knew what kind of guy he is. But you voted your color. And you thought you was going to get that privilege. But now you understand. If you ain't worth 7, 8 figures, he don't give a shit about you. Or your cousin, or your sister, or your auntie. Nobody. Now you look like me to him. Because you ain't got it like that. So, I'm sorry you're about to lose your land. But I really don't give a damn. Because you knew better. All of you. But you wanted to vote for your privilege and your color instead of who was deserving and who was better. So blame yourself. Blame your neighbor. Blame the people down the street. It ain't our fault. It's on you.
Oh yeah. Here in North Dakota, we definitely are regretting our votes for Grandpa Tariff. Oh yeah, me and my husband run a seed farm up here, and Daddy runs a soybean farm. And the tariffs are hitting North Dakota harder than almost any other state. Yeah, we're really concerned about it. Last time Trump was president, we had to get a bailout, and we were hoping that this time it would be better. But I'm not seeing any signs that we're gonna get spared this time around either. We had to pick up a couple pieces of steel in West Fargo yesterday, and we asked them if the tariffs had been affecting the prices yet, and they said just talking about the tariffs affects the price. You know, China will start going to Brazil and Africa for their soybeans, and then they'll establish relationships and we'll get completely cut out of the loop. Trump says it's short-term pain for long-term gain. So far in my life, I've never seen the tariffs do any gain for any of us farmers here in North Dakota. I'm not really even sure why we voted for him.
By saying I did vote for Donald Trump. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even like, so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding. They can't release the funds.
You know, I'm seeing all these videos right now where all these farmers are crying about not getting no help right now. You know what? Let me ask you something. When have you ever heard of a black farmer crying about it? Never. And you want to know why? Because they ain't never got no help in the first place. That's right. USDA's literally admitted to discriminating against black farmers. And literally black farmers had to sue, thousands of them, to get what white farmers are handed for free. And fast forward to today, all these farmers crying that they can't get no help. You see, black farmers, they've been struggling. Y'all just now feeling what they've been feeling for over 100 years. Black farmers, they used to own over 19 million acres of land. But guess what? Systematic racism, denied loans, shady politicians, and legal loopholes wiped them all out. Yeah. And now they're 1% of America's farmland. When the government finally tried to pass relief for the black folk back in 2021, white farmers sued to block it, claimed it was reverse discrimination. Make that make sense. So, you know, next time you see folks complaining about farm aid, why don't you ask them, where's the help for the black farmers? Ask them why their struggle is just now important when others have been suffering for centuries.
U.S. farmers are starting to regret their vote for Trump. From beekeepers to soybean to hay producers, all of them are starting to say, I never thought that voting for Trump 3 times would result in me losing tens of thousands of dollars. A beekeeper out of North Carolina says, yeah, I proudly voted for Trump all 3 times. I flew flags for him and put signs for him in the yard. But now I'm out tens of thousands of dollars due to lost federal funding and tariffs, so I cannot export my products, my honey and my wax, to other countries like I could before, and nobody's buying it in the United States. Hay producers in Idaho and Utah that export alfalfa hay to China are now seeing 135% tariffs put on their product, and all of a sudden, they don't have anywhere to ship it. They held it all winter in hopes of sending it off to China in the spring, and now China's not willing to buy. Soybean producers are once again being hit harder than they were in the first Trump administration, and China, for its part, has diversified where it pulls these products from, with Brazil becoming the #1 soybean exporter, and other countries picking up the slack for honey, for beeswax, and for hay around the world. Now, China's doing a great job diversifying, and the United States has relied on exports to China for so long that its farmers are going to just continue to suffer. Once again, the majority of them voted for Trump, and now they're finding out.
There's a whole lot of white people who are now upset that they voted for Trump. So I just want to point out this lesson and thing we do in the black community where we say all skin folk and kin folk. Y'all voted for that man because he's white and you didn't want to see a black woman become the president. And now you see all skin folk ain't kin folk. I don't feel sorry for y'all at all.
Well, it's official. The United States Senate is dead. Last night, the U.S. Senate announced to the world that they are no longer an independent legislative body. They announced to the world that they are nothing but an appendage of the Trump White House. Nothing but a rubber stamp for whatever the hell he wants to do. Because last night they voted to confirm Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. A guy who is the single most unqualified Secretary of Defense in our nation's history. And not only is he unqualified in terms of his lack of relevant professional experience, but he is also disqualified because of his loathsome personal behavior and horrendous character. This is a really bad guy, and it is exceedingly dangerous to put this man in charge of the Department of Defense. But these senators on the Republican side, except for 3, all voted to confirm this man, who they all know has no business being Secretary of Defense. And they did it for one reason: because they are cowards. They are afraid to do what is right because they are afraid of Donald Trump. They are afraid that Donald Trump can end their political career with a single tweet if they get on his bad side. Because the base of the Republican Party is a cult in service of one man, Donald Trump. And if they don't do what he wants, they know that their career could be over in a second.
I'm in my greenhouse planting some vegetables. And I'm thinking about all these farmers that's losing the farms, all them white farmers. Not the black farmers, because we donating to them. You don't hear the black farmers crying the blues, but them white farmers, oh shit, they talking about they losing their farms now because of Trump. But they voted for Trump. But they losing their farms. Right. The black farmers, you don't hear them crying the blues, right? Here's the difference. See, they wasn't dependent on the government. When you depend on the government to take care of you, my daddy told me never depend on the government. Now see, if they cut my little Social Security check, I ain't gonna say little, but because I can use that piece of coin that I worked for. You understand? I worked 32 years for my monies, for my coins. So it's mine. But I didn't depend on the government in my retired life. You don't depend on the government. No. Anyway, back to the farmers that's losing their farms. I can't even say I feel sorry for you. But this is what I'm going to do. Look here, people. Let me tell you something. Oh, look at here. This is going to be some good eating right here. You understand what I'm saying? Look here. I just grow my own stuff. Look here. That's what I'm doing right there. Yeah. So, I ain't worried about them white farmers losing their farms. I ain't even feeling sorry because they voted for Trump. You get what you asked for. You asked for the tariffs, you got them.
Welcome back. In this video, we took a look at farmers in the United States of America who regret voting for Donald Trump after they have been affected by a lot of policies that has been implemented by the Donald Trump administration. Now, campaigns leading to the 2024 November 5th election had a lot of promises from Donald Trump, from that of mass deportation to all other policies that you can think of. A lot of these farmers rallied behind Donald Trump and they supported his MAGA agenda. And right after he was sworn into office in January of 2025, Donald Trump began work right from day one. He signed a lot of executive orders, and this started seeing to the implementation of some of the policies that he campaigned with during the 2024 elections. Paramount among these was mass deportation. And I believe a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump believe in this mass deportation policy that he brought forth. So they voted so that Donald Trump could deport a lot of these immigrants, undocumented immigrants, who were flooding the United States of America. But one thing that I keep getting confused about is that of the farmers. Majority of these farmers have their labor force or their workforce, majority of their workforce coming out of these undocumented immigrants. So it is these undocumented immigrants who come into the United States of America and help with these farming activities on the farm. They help to grow the crops, all the seedlings and all that. And after that, they come in as well to harvest all these crops. They take care of the livestock that are being reared in the United States. So coming together to support mass deportation was in a way not sitting well. I don't know if they had a plan that after all these undocumented immigrants have been deported out of the United States, probably they thought of a perfect replacement for these workforce on their farms. Other than that, I don't know why they will vote in order for their workforce to be deported out of the United States of America. So they voted for Donald Trump and then he deported a lot of these undocumented immigrants. And so farmers began to feel the ripple effect of the absence of these immigrants on their farms. Their livestock were unattended to. Crops that were ripe were not being plucked by anyone because none of these immigrants were showing up on the farms. The farms were not being cleared of weeds and all other things that are supposed to be done on the farms that were not done. That was when losses began to hit a lot of these farmers in the United States of America, and particularly farmers in states like Nebraska, Texas, Florida, and other states which are predominantly farming states. And for the state of Nebraska in particular, it has really affected them because their state is predominantly a farming state. So majority of the budgets that they have in the state goes into agriculture. Their revenue comes mainly from agriculture or farming, and this has really affected them. And the governor had to even try and then go for a bailout, which I don't know if he has been able to get a bailout. Now, majority of these farmers in the United States are now crying out so bitterly that they regret voting for Donald Trump. And I believe that they literally shot themselves in the foot. Let me know what you also think about all these in the comment section below. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family on other social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and other social media platforms. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe button down here. Click on the subscribe button. Click also on the notification bell. And I'd like to see you again in my next video.